Tanakota Katoa, and welcome to everyone who is interested in not just an MBA, because that doesn't by itself mean much, does it? But in having a better life, many more opportunities, and most importantly, some control over what you want to do in the future. And I'm joined here today by a fabulous team that will show you that when you go to study at Massey, we have a group of people that wrap themselves around you and make sure that you have the best opportunities to study. You'll hear from a whole bunch of people, but mainly Rebecca, Deetha, Mandy, and myself. And then we have, and I'm very proud to say, a current student. So we have obviously still kept her happy enough. Dani is here while she's studying in the very last course, and she's doing that with me and doing a fabulous job. And one of the things that little voice in your head has probably been talking about is not just that you see others that do great things, but when you work and you don't really have a specific plan for the future, you constantly see things where you think, oh, I could do this, or I could do that, or why am I still doing this? And then it's sometimes the family that pushes you a little bit to reflect on, can I do better things? Massey has a very, very different way of teaching. We do it very practically. So when you come and you learn with us, it is more like being at work. And that means that we have a group of people that you'll hear from here partly that take care of you to make sure that you learn those opportunities, you learn the ability to position yourself, and you set yourself up for a better life. We have three different streams, the online, the not online, face-to-face, and the executive MBA. And today we'll focus mainly on the online MBA, which is, of course, an MBA of convenience. You can do other things while you study, and we make sure we don't interrupt your life too much. On that happy note, I will turn it back to Rebecca. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have you here. So we're going to, of course, as Yen said, speak to you tonight about the Online MBA. And tonight you'll learn how it may well be the professional development program for you. So I am the sales manager for the Executive MBA and MBA programs. Why would you choose Massey to study your Online MBA? Well, firstly, as you can see, we have an amazing team who are going to look after you on your study journey with us. The Online MBA will give you that professional development and the career boost that you're after, but to suit your level of experience. So it's including flexibility, practical learning, and a very high level of networking. Now, programs are, of course, globally recognized qualifications. So with this being fully online, interactive learning is designed for working professionals. You can fit your studies around full-time work and personal commitments from any location. You may be juggling family commitments or studying from a different time zone. Need to fit your study in around work or personal travel. So you might be tripping around the world sometimes, around the country, or you have to skip a course and take it at another time. The Online MBA offers that flexibility. There are no exams in the MBA, which is very good, and you'll only have 3 assessments to complete for each course. Your studies are going to be very practical, so relevant to real-world current business. We're not just going to give you books to read and theory to learn and just leave you to work out how on earth you're going to apply that in your work. So you're going to learn each subject of study in depth, but discussing it with your academics who are all business professionals and with your professional peers. So you're about how what you're learning relates to the company that you're learning about, but also to the company that you work with, so that you can use those skills in your work the very next day. It's not going to be like school, sitting and listening to a teacher go on about what they know, and you just have to memorize it. You'll be actively involved in the discussions throughout your whole study journey, as if you're in the boardroom or Zoom room having meetings with your colleagues at work. Now, the networks you will develop are going to be long-term business connections with business professionals who are teaching you, those that are joining you as guest speakers, teaching you about their companies and strategies and practices, but also your fellow students who all come with a high level of experience but all with different subject areas of expertise. So it's going to open up a huge resource of knowledge for you to learn from and with. But as you hear our alumni say, even beyond your MBA study, you have those connections for your future career. So the online MBA, it will move you forward. So with your knowledge, your connections, and your career. So I mentioned you'll use your skills in your work the next day. You will turn up at work able to contribute at meetings that you would never have done before, because you'll suddenly understand what everyone is actually talking about. You'll develop and strengthen your understanding of effective management and leadership, which will position you for the higher level positions. You'll learn about businesses in New Zealand and globally, how to consult for them, guide them, and understand what it takes to expand in the current business world. With your business professional academics, your professional peers, your guest speakers, and the companies you will work with, you will expand your connections with the leaders of the business world. Next slide, please, Myra. So our alumni will tell you the online MBA will give you capability, capacity, confidence, connections, and courage. These are all key traits to help you contribute knowledgeably to your company's strategy, make your mark in your company, and stand out for those higher level roles to advance in your career, or maybe even branch out to something new. And you will have the connections and the courage to do all of this. So now I'm going to pass over to the lovely Mandy, who is going to talk to you further about our program recognition and the different program options, so you know what's out there. Thank you, Mandy.
Thanks. Kia ora, everyone. Lovely to have you here. You'll see on the slide here that we have listed our accreditations and our rankings. And really what you need to know about this is that our programs are globally recognised and that they are the quality stamps that you're looking for. So when you're trying to compare, you're actually looking at these and going, okay, I understand what that means now. So let me just quickly work through some of them for you. AACSB is an American elite school qualification or an accreditation, and that puts Massey in the top 5% of global business schools. So you're not just looking at New Zealand schools, you're looking at worldwide schools. And we have the longest accreditation for AACSB and AMBA, which is the Association of MBAs, which is 5 years. And it's really hard to come by. We have to jump through a lot of hoops to get that. So you'll know that we do have a high standard. As far as rankings are concerned, we are the premier provider of online learning in New Zealand. We don't just record our sessions and have you listen to those. It's an interactive platform, which I'll talk about in a minute, and so will my colleague Dipper. We're in the top 3% of universities according to the QS rankings, and we draw our teaching staff from the schools that are listed down the bottom there. You can see we're in the top 100, top 250, and then we're ranked for 2 others. And that, again, gives you an understanding of the level of the high level of learning that you're going to get from programs that are highly ranked in the world. CEO magazine think we're absolutely lovely. We are in tier 1 and we're number 11 in the world. That's, a really high standard for us to meet. And Shanghai rankings have us number 1 in New Zealand for business administration. So again, you know that you are getting quality. On the next slide, I just briefly want to talk about what we offer. The Executive MBA on the right-hand side, if you're looking at the same screen as me, is a 22-month face-to-face dynamic, engaging and challenging experience. They're all like that though, except they're not face-to-face. So the EMBA face-to-face, every 6th weekend you come in for a course, you do one at a time. It's in Albany or in Auckland, and it takes you about 22 months, the 15 months plus your consulting project. It's a program that focuses on leadership, strategy, both here and globally, and on governance. And the special features in these are our international study tour, our global tour, domestic and international consultancy, and you get the entry level for Governance New Zealand, which is a pathway to board work. Now, if you're interested in this study, we're not going to talk any more about this tonight. This is the only time we're going to bring this up. If you're interested in this, please send an email to mba@massey.ac.nz and we'll send you a stack of details about it. This program, the EMBA, Executive MBA, is open to international students, but it is not the best option for most. And I'm just talking about international students here when I say that. And I'll talk a minute about what I think the best option is for you. So the MBA itself, you'll see on the left-hand side there are two MBAs. They're actually one, but they're in two modes. One is fully online, which we are going to focus on tonight, and the other is full-time. And the full-time one is based in Auckland, and it is very interactive. It's very intensive. It is the primary international student option. And the reason I say that, it is 1 year. In 1 year, you get your MBA, and then you can have your 3-year work visa following that, which is a pathway to residency. So if you're an international student listening to this, please bear in mind that the full-time MBA is the best option for you. But as I've said earlier, my lovely colleague Ditha is going to talk to you about the online MBA, but very, very briefly. It's taught on an award-winning platform. It is not recorded classroom lectures. The material's available 24/7, so it gives you tons of flexibility. It is still really interactive, even though that material is available to you all the time, has specializations, and you have classmates from all over the world. The content's designed especially for online teaching. It's got great technology, and it's really interesting, really engaging, and it's super fun when you get into it. Danny will tell you about that in a minute anyway. It is a self-paced program, so one course at a time, no exams, as Rebecca has said, though there can be tests. She didn't mention that, but there can be tests. Okay, you're going to hear a lot about that. I just, again, I think we've got some international students on the call at the moment. If you're thinking of online study, if you are based in New Zealand, you are restricted on how many online courses you can study. So if you're here on a student visa. So again, the MBA full-time is the best option for you. If you're an international student studying from overseas, please know that you are not eligible for the 3-year post-study work visa if you study online. The best option for you, again, is the full-time MBA, because we can help you with that. And that full-time MBA, you come into class 3 days a week. Professor Jens has just had a class now. He teaches between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock usually, and each course is 7 weeks, 2 at a time. It's fantastic for international students. And you can also work while you're here for 20 hours a week. So, and we're also going to give you some work experience. So it is a fabulous experience. We have lots of options for everyone. So which is the right pathway for you? Which one do you think is going to be best? The online is what we're going to talk about now, and I'm going to hand over to my lovely colleague, Ditha.
Thank you, Mandy. Good evening, everyone. So we're now going to shift our focus to the online MBA. And let's talk a little bit about, is this program the right one for you? Now, the MBA in general is designed to give you that confidence to make decisions in different business areas, to really allow you to understand the whole business and then to make an informed decision. And that last line that you see there on the slide, it can be anything you want to be with the MBA, and that's really true. And the reason why this is mostly true is that the MBA is a generalist program. You get skills in all of the departments of a business to help you understand how to grow your own department, but also how to affect the growth and the success of the organization on the whole. So if you are someone who's looking to take that next step in your career, who's looking to be more confident, to reflect on their own business styles, to be able to make informed decisions for the business success, then the MBA is the right program for you. Next slide, please. I want to talk to you a little bit about the confidence we get in the MBA and the promise we make through that confidence. So the MBA program is designed to give you those skills that you see in front of you. It allows you to reflect on your own style, but also allows you to absorb information from various areas, like your peers, your lecturers, your guest speakers, and also from the projects that you're working on. So, like my colleague said, you get to interact with different organizations and then absorb information from them. So it really gives you that confidence to think strategically, but also because it's online, you also get the skill of being technologically savvy. We've got a diverse group of students, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in just a little while, which then gives you that cultural competence, not only with the content, but also with the way that you absorb the content from global organizations, as well as lecturers and guest speakers that come in to teach you. You really get to solve problems on the go with the MBA. You're constantly given different business problems and ways in which you can analyze the data to be able to go back and take that data with you to your work, but then also take it back to the company that you are doing your project on. So you're constantly giving information and sharing information on how people can better their own organization. So very exciting. You're constantly on the go, and Danny's going to talk to you about this in a little while, but you're constantly on the go and you're constantly being given business problems and really getting your hands dirty. So let me talk to you a little bit about how we deliver this program to you. And on the next slide, we're going to look at the courses that you've got for the MBA. So the first 6 courses that you do are in different business areas. So you look at economics and you look at finance and operations, giving you an idea of how these departments or these business areas work independently, but also allowing you to kind of go over each other to understand how you can work in one while looking at the whole picture. So the business success. You then get an opportunity to go into your specializations. So as an online MBA student, your options are digital transformation, global business, and business sustainability, which is something that we are looking to bring in next year when you are ready to do your specializations. You then progress to part 2, which is really the time you get your hands dirty. You pull from all of the information from your part 1 courses, and you get that confidence to be able to take it back to the organizations, work on those projects, and give them your recommendations. So it again adds to your confidence, but also increases your capability and also allows you to look at a bigger picture while you are working full-time as well, taking that information back to your organizations again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how this program is designed and how you would be studying the MBA. So on the next slide, I'm going to talk to you about the various features that we would like to bring to you today about the online MBA. Like my colleague said, we can't say it enough. It is a flexible program. We are extremely confident in this program thanks to our rankings and accreditations. And that really comes with the constant change that the MBA online content goes through. And this comes from the latest trends, the information that our lecturers bring in because they are practicing academics, so they are in the market while they're teaching you this program. But you also have the flexibility to come in for a Zoom session in an intimate classroom where you get the opportunity to put your questions forward, have those discussions with your peers, with your lecturers, with your guest speakers, and really share in their insights. You only need to log in about 2 hours per week for most of your, for all of your courses on the MBA via Zoom. So that gives you an opportunity to read and to study at your own pace outside of those 2 hours. So again, very self-paced, giving you that flexibility to find a time that is right for you to go through the content that we have. We've got 3 intakes, March, July, and November. So the March intake is right around the corner. So we hope to see some of your applications come through for the March intake. But I'm just going to go back to that interactive technology. And on the next slide, we've got a few images to show you what this is. So you learn through videos that we have of subject matter experts from the market, not only in New Zealand, but globally, who come in to share their insights with you. So you're constantly picking up their styles of leadership, their styles of making decisions, and trying to incorporate that into your learning. But we also have technology that really helps make the learning a little more fun rather than just reading through contents and textbooks. We want you to also understand how you can use various technologies and open your mind up to the use of this digital world that we all live in today. So we have the whiteboard, which is a platform that you see on the left there that really helps you, one, interact with the lecturer in the videos, but also helps you with quantitative courses like your finance and your economics and a little bit of operations as well, where you understand how you come to a particular result, and then you go away to analyze that result. So these are the different aspects to which we offer learning to you through the MBA. So, okay, on the next slide, I've been talking to you a little bit about learning from your peers. So I wanted to let you know who would be in the class with you. So a typical MBA class is about 20 to 30 students. We've got an almost equal split, not there just yet, but almost there, with 40% and 60% women and 40% men. An average work experience of about 15 years, but that ranges from 3 years to about 25, 24 years of work experience, and an average age of 38 years, which again ranges from about 26 years to about 56 years. But there's diversity in the class. And what that really means is that you will interact and learn with people who come from different backgrounds, not only academically, but culturally, as well as through their qualifications. So there's diversity, which brings in different types of thinking, of leadership styles, of decision-making styles, which will help you understand what's out there in the market and how you can use the best knowledge that you need to grow, not only yourself, but also your organizations. The typical MBA online can be completed somewhere between 18 months to 2 years, but you have up to 5 years. So in case life happens, work happens, something that comes in that might be an obstacle in continuing your study, you have up to 5 years to complete the program. And just a side note, if you were to do that full-time MBA that Mandy was speaking about, that is a 1-year program which is the best option for our international students. Before we move on, I just wanted to bring in some really interesting ROI, and this really speaks to the next slide as well, but we have about 62% of our students who have improved their roles during the MBA. And on the next slide, I'm going to talk to you about one of these students. So we've got Toby there on the bottom right of your slide. And Toby was actually promoted twice while he was studying the MBA. And during one of our conversations with him, he actually told us that the MBA gave him the confidence to speak up to his manager and talk to him about the various aspects and the various parts of the business where he's actually able to deliver effectively, which then put him on the radar for promotions, not once, but twice. And right as he completed his MBA, he went in for his 3rd promotion. So we're extremely, extremely proud of Toby. Now, of course, like Rebecca said, you will get the slides, so you will have an opportunity to go through the various testimonials that our alumni have given us. But before we go on, I just also want to talk to you about Michelle. Michelle came to us when she was made redundant in her job. She was worried about what her future would look like. And then she said, let me upskill with an MBA. So she actually came in looking for those skills and that confidence when she didn't really think that she had the confidence. And she went on to co-found her own company, which is Carbon Click. And she's just been promoted to a board member. So we're very, very excited for Michelle. But she went on to start her own company. And again, she said that the MBA gave her the confidence to make decisions and to really rely on those decisions that she was making, analyzing various data that comes her way as she was trying to grow her business. Great. So I'm just going to go on to the next slide. I'm sure one of the things that you're all thinking about now is, okay, so what is the investment going to be? We like to call it an investment because this is an investment that you are making in your future. Now, all of those amounts that you see in front of you, as a domestic student, you can be covered by StudyLink. So as a domestic student who is studying the online MBA while in New Zealand, your program fees is 46,300. And as a New Zealand citizen, if you're studying the MBA while you are away from New Zealand or living outside of New Zealand, your program fees is about 40,200. Now, as an international student studying offshore, which means you will be away from New Zealand, your program fees is approximately 51,500. Now, all of the study material that you require for the MBA is included in the fees that you see in front of you. Now, on the next slide, I want to talk to you a little bit about the investment that we will make in your future. So we have 3 MBA awards that are assessed automatically at the time that you make your application for the MBA. They are each of $2,000, and it can be accumulated, which means if you meet all the 3 criteria, you can get up to $6,000 adjusted against your fee. So that's a really huge amount. And the criteria are 1, an A- in your bachelor's highest level courses. If you've got 5+ years of relevant experience, that's the second criteria. And the third is if you're holding, if you have an existing master's degree. So if you meet all of these 3 criteria, you can get 6,000. Or even if you meet 1, you get 2,000 or 4,000, depending on how many you meet. Okay, so talking about excellence and the program and the confidence that we have, we've got Danny here this evening. And we would like to, thank you so much for joining us this evening, Danny. Danny started with us in March 2022, and she's doing her last course now. So very, very excited for Danny. Thank you so much for joining us. Over to you, Danny.
I'm Danny McGilvery. In just over 2 years, I was sitting exactly where you are now. I was nervous and had no idea what to expect. I can confidently say it does work out. It takes some getting used to, but I've successfully managed my family commitments, my work commitments, and still been able to have a social life whilst completing my MBA. So tonight, I'm going to share with some insight into what I liked about studying at Massey University and how the MBA has supported me in my career. And then I'll close off with some study tips for you. But first, a little bit about me. I'm a national sales manager for a premium wine distribution business in New Zealand. I sit on the senior leadership team and have 15 direct reports. I travel a lot for my role. I'm also a mother to a beautiful six-year-old girl who keeps me on my toes. I've managed all of these commitments while completing my MBA. So yes, it can be done. What I like about Massey. I did both my undergraduate and my business diploma with Massey. I know it well. The systems and online platforms are so user-friendly, it makes locating information a breeze. In my first year of my MBA, I utilized the online academic writing support. This was fantastic, especially because I haven't studied in such a long time. I highly recommend it. However, for me, the biggest draw card was being able to study 100% online. This was so important because I travel for work and have family commitments. Being online meant that I was able to attend lectures while sitting in a hotel room. This meant I was able to study and still meet all of my work obligations. And finally, the responsiveness of the faculty has been great. I know if I reach out to anyone, they get back to me ASAP. It made me feel like my education and learning journey was a priority to the university. So how's the MBA study impacted on my career? The MBA has impacted on every aspect of my role, from the way I interact with my team to the way that I interact with key stakeholders. My ability to prioritize, manage an intense workload, and be efficient has dramatically improved. My understanding of total business operations in different departments has increased tenfold. However, the biggest change I've noticed is now when I speak in my senior leadership meetings, the message I'm communicating comes from a fact-based research. It has given me so much more credibility, which makes me impactful and a more effective business leader. Now for some study tips. A little bit often. I can't stress this enough. Even if it's just 15 minutes, it all adds up and will make your life so much easier. The moment the course guide gets released, read it. Then schedule all your assignments and your weekly lectures into your calendar and attach the Zoom link and put it in the subject heading. It's so much easier. There is an audio function on all the course textbooks. I use this implicitly. I would listen to chapters while driving, whilst cooking, even exercising, whatever it took. If I could kill two birds with one stone, I was going to take that opportunity every single time. It's about being efficient. So that's it from me tonight. I'm proud of what I've achieved over the last 2 years. I'm excited about what the future holds. And based on this, I know you won't regret doing the Massey MBA.
Thank you, Danny. That was amazing. Thank you. Yes, if you've got any questions for Danny, please pop them into the chat box and we will ask her to answer these at the end of the session today. But thank you, Danny. That was amazing. And we're extremely proud of your journey as well. So thank you. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our practicing academic, Professor Jens Müller. Thank you, Jens, for being here tonight. Over to you.
Well, that was a tough act to follow, Danny. And Danny is doing something that is quite typical for Massey. She's currently working with a real client that has a strategic problem. And she makes sure that the suggestions are well grounded in fact, essentially being a consultant. And that also looks really good on the resume. Look, I got a little confused about all these different options when they were discussed before. So let me just very quickly walk you through. If you are working in New Zealand, you come to the Executive MBA, 10 weekends, 15 months, boom, done. If for whatever reason you work in New Zealand and cannot come for 10 weekends to Auckland, you have a sick granny at home, the goats need to be fed, you would come to the Online MBA. And if you're an international student, you would nearly always do the full-time MBA because that gets you the pathway to residence, the smoothest pathway to residence we have in New Zealand. You do the MBA 1 year, you then work 1 year in a skilled role, boom, apply for residence, done. There are three things that people usually question when they come to an MBA session and think about, do I really have to do this? Why would I pick Massey? And can I fail? Because nobody wants to do that. The reason why you have to do this or something like that is that the roles you want in the future are roles where the people who appoint you are risk adverse themselves. So they do not want to be held accountable that they hired a Muppet. And later on, it turns out that you didn't work out. And then people will say, how could you have hired her or him? They didn't have anything to show other than experience. There was nothing on paper. And so it is expected. We have kind of degree inflation. It is expected that you have something to show. And New Zealand, of course, is a country with many small firms. And in small firms, people all do more than one thing. So we don't train for specialists. We train for generalists. And that is the MBA. We call that a butterfly degree. You sink on a flower like the butterfly. You stay around for 1 weekend, 1 week course, 7 weeks on the evenings, and you go, ooh, didn't like that at all. And boom, you fly off to the next one that you like better, or you say, oh, this was a good one. And then you move on. It gives you a well-rounded education that allows you to participate and to then show in various areas that you are competent and get the job. So you have to have something like that. And the worst thinking, absolutely terrible thinking, is that you see a job opening in your company, maybe a rung up or two, and you know you can do this. You worked there for 10 years, 12 years. You have this pat. You know you're going to get that job. and then some clown runs by you, waves that piece of paper, the MBA in their hand, with 3 years work experience and the MBA, and they get the job. And that really disappoints you. And look, this is going to get worse. Your parents, my parents, could very well do a full career with high school because they did a good job and they were staying in that job, and you can absolutely live off that. But today you can't. We expect that a bachelor student can read and write, and we expect more from a master's student. And it is just required that you show you have that well-rounded ability to be working in different areas. Second part of why Massey, that's simple. We are the largest MBA shop in New Zealand, mainly because our brand of teaching is very practical. You will not meet any lecturer in this program who does not also have a big, long corporate experience. We want people who teach you, tell you what they do, not what they read in a book that somebody else wrote 10 years ago. It's just not very practical. So Monday morning, 8 o'clock, when you come out of a week of work of a course, you would do something different. You would try something different because you have this ability to connect the learnings directly to practice. And then the last question is, can you fail? Look, we take in people who come from non-business disciplines, right? Any bachelor degree that you have will work fine. You can come from any area of non-business or business. Most people don't have business or management experience. And so the little voice in your head goes, well, how is this going to go? Well, we know that many of our students don't have a formal education in business. You might have a bachelor in IT, in health, possibly in finance, in social work, in all sorts of areas. So we bring you together with a well-crafted program that you will absolutely be able to finish. This is a one-stop train. You don't have to pick courses every week or every month. We tell you what to do. You get on that train. When you get off that train, you graduate. Boom, done. There is nothing you have to pick and choose. And when we pick you, we take relatively few people out of those that apply. We know that you can finish this. And I have just looked at the calendar. I've done this for 38 years. And on the fingers of both hands, and I still have all my fingers, I can count how many people have academically flunked out. It just does not happen. You have to work harder on failing than on passing. We tell you what to do, you do it. You're working in a group, and look, in a group, sometimes somebody has more knowledge about a course than you, and then the next course, you have more knowledge. Everybody gives and takes, and the group kind of pushes people through. I would be absolutely surprised if anyone fails nowadays in an MBA program because you have so many courses, 10, that you can always make up. If there was a course where you didn't do that well, you have 3 assessments internally, no exams in a course, and one is always a group assessment, so that one's kind of a little easier to cling on. And then you have 2 individual ones that most people get quite comfortable with. So we help you to make sure you get through, and it is therefore a program that when you start, we expect that you finish, and when you finish, we expect that you get a new role quite quickly, quite often during the study, because you will become obnoxious. Danny's looking up. You will become obnoxious because you will involve yourself in discussions where in the past you would be like a wallflower. You would stand in the meeting, but you wouldn't really say anything, and then they all think you're the one who brings the pizza. But now you will engage yourself. You will get involved, and you will start to make contributions because you can. And you have this enormous backup of having gone to a course where somebody who is absolutely well known in the area spends hours and hours and hours with you and make sure that you can then apply that learning in class. So this is something that is for you. It is relatively fast. It takes money, no question about that. And thank you very much for paying us eventually. We appreciate that. But it is important that you know before you kind of really get into it, it's already halfway through. and then suddenly you see the end coming. It goes faster than you think it will. And I'll turn that back to Mandy.
Excellent. It's quite exciting, isn't it? What's going to happen next? So some of you may have been thinking, gosh, I'm not sure that I can do this, and that you're worried about the journey itself, but don't be, because we're all here to help you every step of the way. Massey has some great support mechanisms, but so does our office. And as Danny said, the Centre of Learning Success has a pre-reading service. So especially as you start your study, you can pop your assessment in, they will critique it for you, and then you can make some changes, and then you'll be able to put it in to be marked. They won't tell you what the answer is, but they will make sure that you're on the right path, that you're actually answering the question, that you've set it out properly, and that all the areas, the levers that you can pull to get good grades are being addressed. So that is a really good way, but they also have hundreds and hundreds of resources within there. And in the document that Rebecca has just loaded on the chat, you will see lots of links that will help you to get some support that you need, that you'll just be able to do in your own time. Another area I'd like to talk to you about is the ITS support. Obviously, it's always good to have that support there, but one of the things you'll get when you study with us is that you'll get a free copy of Microsoft 365. And that's so that you can do your job really well, and that you have all of the material and things that you need, or the website access that you need, so that you can actually do your study well with us. Now, the MBA office, amazing support. Obviously, there's all of us here. We're very interested in your success. And we see it as our primary role is to make sure that you start easily, that you are welcomed in, that you have an orientation that sets you up well, and that you have the resources that you need. But also, we're going to kick out the backside if things aren't going as quickly as they should be, or we can talk to you and cajole you to help you to carry on, because the going does get tough. It's quite relentless, and it does get tough. So we can do the pep talk, we can do the kick up the backside, or we can do here's the tissue box, and we can help you with that as well. There's not much that we haven't seen already, so we can help you through that. For any of you that are math phobic, and there will be a few, there's a refresher on Stream, which is our online learning platform, and you can use that to get yourself ready for the finance course, the ops and logs course, and the economics course. We mentioned the mental gym sessions on this particular slide. Now, they've all finished, unfortunately. We've had them over the last few months. We've had a scholarship one, which some of you may be interested in, and that is in the link that Rebecca has popped in the chat, and I will pop the Ready to Learn link in the chat as well once I've finished, when we're up to the Q&A section. So the topics for all of the other sessions are not recorded, and that's so that participants can talk really freely, and it's like a classroom. It's what talks about in the room stays in the room, so we don't record those particular sessions. But if you're looking for your study further in advance, we will keep in touch with you about when those mental gym sessions are on. Other people have also mentioned about our teaching staff. They know that there are people in the room in each of those courses who know absolutely nothing about the topic. And you shouldn't be afraid of that. You don't need to do a whole pile of pre-reading, thinking you need to get ready for something. Other than what we supply you, that is what you need to do to be successful. So you don't have to go off and do any pre-courses or anything like that. We will set you up really well. Those teaching staff know that they need to get people from zero to hero, and they have the skills to do that. So don't be worried about that either. Right, on the next slide. The picture on the next slide are actually some of our graduates. So this could be you. So it takes you to about 2 years is about the average. And these are the people who celebrate. And we really do celebrate when you've finished your study, because we are so proud of what you've achieved. And your family will also be proud. And for those who graduate around the country in Wellington or Palmerston North or in Auckland, we march along and we cheer and we, have balloons, and it's fantastic. It's very, very exciting. If you would like to join us, then you need to go online and start your application. We need your CV, we need your relevant work experience, we need your transcripts and your certificates, and we need an application statement. On the document that Rebecca has uploaded, it has the questions that we want answered. So it's all very easy. You know you, and you will be able to make that application pretty quickly. It starts in March, as Ditha had said, so you've got a tiny bit of time, but you really do need to get your skates on to make sure that you're completely ready to start that study. If we give you an offer of place, that means that we are confident that you can actually do the study and that you will be successful. So why don't you make an application? Why don't you come and join us and just see how it goes for you? Amelia Earhart said, the most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. And that's the bit about getting your application in. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Ditha. And if you've got any questions, we're going to answer them now.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mandy. Now, just before we go on, if you have any questions after the session this evening, our email address is right there. So do send us an email and we can talk to you about the other programs that we did not focus on, which is the Executive MBA or the MBA full-time, but we can also give you more information about the Online MBA or answer any questions that you might have. Okay, so just going to go on to some questions right now. So I'm going to start off with you, Danny. One of the questions that most people have about the Online MBA is the interaction and the level of interaction that they can have. And we have been talking about peer, learning from your peers. So would you be able to talk to us a little bit about your experience with that, as well as with study groups, please?
Yeah, no problem. Some courses have a lot more interaction than others. I have developed some really strong relationships with a lot of the members of my cohort, to the point where I actually know a lot of their strengths and a lot of their weaknesses, which makes group work a lot easier. You get into, I was going to put this in my speech actually, the platform that we use quite regularly is WhatsApp, where we communicate really regularly with each other. And it's a simple, quick message that will fire out all the time. I probably have 4 or 5 WhatsApp groups going at the moment where I'm still communicating with people from previous courses into my current course. But ultimately, I found that everyone in the MBA is in the MBA for the same reason. We're all wanting to pass and we're all wanting to do really well. So the responsiveness from everyone in the group has been fantastic, would be the right way to put it. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Danny. Jens, would you be able to talk to us a little bit about the kind of projects that our Online MBA students get to do with this program, please?
Oh, look, there are many, many projects for firms of all sizes. We have quite the practical setup where, for instance, we have firms that want to expand. They want to consider going into additional markets, whether that's in New Zealand or overseas. Students then do market research for that country. They look at products, they talk to customers, and they devise a plan for a company to do a market entry. We have some companies that want to expand within New Zealand. We have some companies that want to improve their supply chain. They want to get access to product overseas. And students here in New Zealand, as you know, are very well connected. And we have a lot of students that have connections overseas, and they then provide a recommendation to firms of how they can improve their business. We have some groups that look at the culture in an organization. Are your employees happy? Are your employees delivering the best outcome? Are your employees being stimulated at work so that they actually want to be coming to work every morning? All of these things are very practical approaches. The students have the whole time of the course available to work with a firm. It brings them together with leaders of businesses in New Zealand. They often get a great reference letter out of that. And look, there is nothing nicer than having a CV. And on that CV, you can say that you have made a real contribution to a firm before. That's what new employers really want.
Thank you, Jens. And while I have you here, would you be able to talk to us a little bit about how an online MBA student can prepare for the academic side of it?
The important part is that we tell you right up front for every course what is expected. And a smart move, and Danny kind of walked through that a little bit, a smart move that you first look at, what do we want from you? And you start looking at the end, what assessments are there? What do we want you to have learned? What do we want you to do? And then you work that forward, break that into smaller bits and pieces. And like Danny said, you do it while you exercise, you do it while you're cooking, although your family may not appreciate the meal afterwards, but you would be ending up with smaller bits and pieces of time that you use to learn. And then in the sessions with your instructor, the live sessions, not just a recorded program. This is not Netflix on steroids. This is an interactive session. You then have a chance to discuss real firms, real events, and make sure that your academic reading is bedded into practice. We generally, as a highly accredited program, know that we will give you a good academic grounding, but we generally want you to be able to perform in practice. For that, you need to know what good practice standards are, but you also need to know how to sell that at work, how to engage with your clients, how to make your team support you. And best of all, you want to make your boss look good. And an MBA can make their boss look very, very good. And that is never a bad thing.
Thank you, Jens. Mandy, do we have a pathways for an applicant who might not have a completed bachelor's or might not meet the GPA for entry?
We sure do. I think the thing to bear in mind is that it's always good to apply. We can critique CVs, for example, and have a look to see whether there's something we think you might need to improve on. If you don't have a degree, we have something called a pre-admission workshop that you can participate in. And what that does is it prepares you for writing academic work. And if you pass that, they will often give you entry. And we set you up really well with that. We have a specialist who works with you about how to do that. And it's a really interesting topic. So again, you're fully engaged with that. But we will talk to you at length about what is best for you. And we give you the options of pathways. So always talk to us because we will find a way for you.
Thank you, Mandy. Danny, would you mind walking us through what a typical day looked like while you were doing the MBA?
A typical day, all my family commitments in the morning, getting my kid to school, all of those fun duties. I was really lucky. My company has supported me with a couple of hours each week with support, and I have the flexibility of working from home 2 days a week. So I would really structure my time for study around that and utilize that time at home where I'm not having to travel. My calendar has got every single color in it that you can imagine, where I schedule right down to the T of what I'm going to be doing at what time. And I find that's the only way that I can actually get everything done. So I will literally schedule in my calendar, I need to read this reading to this week or this day, and follow it up by writing X amount, 500 words within what assignment in that point. So I think I'm very structured in that regard. That's how I'd structure my study and my work day. And then typically at night, depending on what course it is whether I am either reading or whether I'm in team meetings or whether I'm in planning sessions. So right now I'm in my final paper and we've got our final presentation for our client coming up. So the last couple of weeks have been very interactive with my team. So that's finding a time that's suitable for everyone, logging in online, going through our presentation, rehearsing our presentation, researching, sharing information. But I think the beauty of it is every day is different. I just think one of the keys to my success or how I've been able to manage it is just being really diligent with my scheduling and making sure that if it's in my calendar, I've got the time to do it and making sure I utilize every piece of downtime.
Thank you, Danny. Jens, how many hours per week do you think the online MBA would require to focus on study?
Look, if you can do an hour and 15 minutes of study on a workday, kids are in bed and you do the various little bits and pieces and then have a couple of quiet moments and you plan on about 2.5 hours a day on a weekend day, then that should see you quite well. it will invariably happen that this kind of ebbs and flows. You will see some courses where you go, oh my God, I don't understand a word. And then you spend more time on that. You probably also have during the week, maybe a 45-minute, 1-hour session with your group members where you work on a group project. And then you have some courses where everything flows so smoothly because you know this pat and you absolutely have all the answers. And then you would be spending a little less time. So it's an average thing. And then clearly we have a course that for the online MBA goes 7 weeks, and those 7-week courses that's enough time, many weeks together, so that 1 week you may not be keeping up because you have other things going on, and then another week you put more time into it. You regulate that yourself, and you very, very quickly fall into a rhythm of doing things repetitively, and that's a really good way to learn. You set aside a certain time, and look, you tell your family up front, this time is now mom time, this is dad time. Don't come with anything. If somebody beats you up, if there's a cricket in your room, if the food is cold, you do not come and tell me. Somebody else will handle that because this time is just for me. And I think in most cases, when at graduation we see the family come to and be there with our student, it is a team job. It is something that you absolutely do as a family together. You are supported and everybody wants you to win.
Thank you, Jens. We've just got another question that's come through. Could you explain a bit more about the last assessment client project, please?
We have a course, the very last course that comes after you have gotten all the wisdom from the MBA and, of course, your life experience and your prior degree, where we let you loose in the wild. And we will either find a firm for you that has a challenging project at hand where they want you, usually in a group setting, 2, 3, 4 people together, sometimes on your own. We have some internships where specific companies want specific students and have only room for one, so it could be one or more. And that is a project where we do what's called action learning. So the teacher will become more your backup support rather than tell you what is happening, because the company, the client, is essentially your boss. And like in a workplace, you would then work under that management for that firm on a project. It's not answering the phone or filling out a spreadsheet. It is a managerial level quality contribution you make. It is a meaty project. Sometimes you can pick your own firm. We have some students who say, there is a major project that I want to showcase my abilities with, and I want to impress everyone with how well I do. And then you can do it even in your own firm on something that is a standalone, freestanding project where you can show that you can solve a problem, you can make a recommendation, and you can work with that firm to move it forward.
Thank you, Jens. And with that, our time for this evening is done.
Thank you, especially the team, to be here and help. Those of you, Michael and Natasha, come to us and let us know how we can help you. Don't worry about whether the resume is perfect or not. We look at the substance and your contribution, and we want to make sure that you have a chance to do a wonderful job in the future. Thanks, all of you. I wish you all a wonderful evening, and I hope that I see Natasha and Michael in class soon. And thank you to the team, and overall, thank you, Danny, for making time and telling us that you still have a smile on your face even after a whole year and a half of an MBA. That's wonderful. Congratulations. And you're only two weeks away or something from the end. Oh, look, she likes the 2 weeks away part. So this is something that's come to an end and gone well. So thank you all very much for your contribution. Good night.